No. The Stanley Cup.
I'm glad you asked. We're starting right here with the Stanley Cup.
Let's be honest. The Stanley Cup is not a trophy, it's a character. It has better stories than most people at your family reunion. It is older than the NHL, more traveled than your favorite travel vlogger, and somehow always the main character in June. You don't win the cup and put it on a shelf. You meet it, you hold it, you cry on it, you spill on it, and if you're not careful, you lose it on the side of the road. Ready to time travel through 130 years of chaos, glory, superstition, and silver polish? Grab your mitts, let's skate. Here's the original vibe check. It's 1892. Lord Frederick Arthur Stanley, Governor-General of Canada, sees hockey at the Montreal Winter Carnival and catches feelings. Hard. He buys a silver bowl in London for 10 guineas, calls it the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup, and says, "This goes to the best club in Canada." Simple, elegant. Also, the most Canadian origin story ever. Do you also love that one side of the bowl read Dominion Hockey Challenge Trophy and the other said From Stanley of Preston with the family coat of arms? Because the cup started classy before it started getting dunked in things. First champs, the Montreal Amateur Athletic Association in 1893. Imagine being the first team to get your name cut into history like that. Did those guys know they were starting a habit that would outlive everyone in the room? That engraving tradition is the cup's secret sauce. It turns a trophy into a time capsule. You don't get a ring on a replica, you get your name on the thing. Now, the part that sounds fake but is true. The early cup was a challenge trophy. You held it and other teams could come for it. No fixed format. You want a single game? Cool. Best of 3? Let's argue. Best of 7? Bring snacks. It was hockey meets open mic night. The Ottawa Silver 7 became a menace. Montreal Hockey Club kept stacking wins, and then you got the Dawson City Nuggets trekking 4,000 miles by dog sled, steamboat, and train in 1905 to challenge Ottawa. Question for you. Would you risk frostbite for a shot at a silver bowl? They did. It's still one of the wildest journeys in sports. Professional teams officially joined the party in 1906. By 1908, the Allen Cup took over the amateur lane. The Stanley Cup became the pro crown. You can feel the sport growing up here, right? Less barnstorming, more business, more best on best. Next big gear shift, 1915. The NHA and the PCHA agree their champions will play for the cup every year. That is basically the template for a modern final. The NHA becomes the NHL in 1917. Formats get tidier. Then 1926 hits and the cup becomes the NHL's exclusive prize. No more outside challenges. You want the Stanley Cup? Join the league, survive the season, get through 4 rounds, and then see how your heart handles a Game 7. Honest question, do you miss the chaos of the challenge era, or are you good with not negotiating series lengths over telegrams? And let's talk about the physical glow-up. The cup you see today is not the original bowl from 1892. There are 3 cups. The original bowl lives in the Hockey Hall of Fame vault. It's tiny by today's standards and way too fragile to ride on fire trucks. In 1963, the NHL commissioned the Presentation Cup so teams could celebrate without snapping a 19th century heirloom. In 1993, a perfect replica was made so the hall could display something while the real Presentation Cup was out partying with champions. Smart, right? Early on, the cup grew like a kid in a growth spurt. Taller, messier, long skinny bands got stacked until it looked like a stovepipe. People literally called it the Stovepipe Cup. In 1947, they trimmed and organized it. In 1958, it took the modern shape we know. Bowl, collar, neat barrel of 5 uniform bands. The whole thing stands about 35.25 inches, weighs around 34.5 pounds, and holds enough champagne to make a locker room sing off-key. Every 13 years, when a band fills with names, the top band retires to the hall. A new blank band goes on the bottom. It keeps the story going without turning the cup into a skyscraper. Kinda brilliant. Not every year gets confetti. In 1919, the final between Montreal and Seattle was canceled after a brutal flu outbreak. A tragic chapter. Defenseman Joe Hall died days later. Manager George Kennedy never fully recovered. It is still the only postseason that reached the final and did not crown a champion. Then 2005. The lockout wipes the whole NHL season. 1,230 games gone. The cup literally reads 2004-05 season not played. If you ever needed proof that the cup is a diary, there it is. The thing tells the truth in silver. Traditions? The cup has more rituals than a wedding planner. Champagne from the bowl dates to 1896 and the Winnipeg Victorias. Ted Lindsay's lap in 1950 made hoisting over your head the iconic victory picture. The first on-ice presentation happened in 1932, but it did not become standard until the 1950s. In 1988, the Oilers gathered for that full-team cup photo on the ice. Now, everyone does it. Since 1995, every winner gets a personal day with the cup. Players, coaches, equipment guys, the trainer who fixed everyone's shoulders. The keeper of the cup travels with it and wears white gloves for formal stuff. Would you take it to your hometown diner or your childhood rink first? And would your grandma approve? Superstitions are real. Most players will not touch the cup until they win. The moral logic is earn it, then lift it. The unwritten code says only champions can hoist it. You can take a picture with it, you can look at it, but lift it over your head without earning it and prepare for chirps from the universe. And now for the mischief. The cup gets into trouble. There is the famous 1905 Rideau Canal legend, where an Ottawa player tried to drop kick the cup across the ice and they retrieved it the next morning. It's a great story. It also might be false. That's hockey folklore in a nutshell. In 1906, the cup was left at a photographer's shop and somebody used it as a flower pot for geraniums. Nature thrives. In 1924, the Canadians left it on the curb after a flat tire. Imagine realizing an hour later that you forgot the most famous trophy on earth. In 1962, a fan in Chicago tried to liberate it mid-display case and got politely stopped by police. And in 1925, two Patrick brothers scratched their names into it with a nail in the basement. They later got on properly in 1940. Wild question. Are you on team the cup should be protected at all times or team let it live a little and collect stories? You want moments? We could do hours. Bobby Orr in 1970 flying through the air, tripped, arms out, scoring the cup winner. The photo lives forever. Patrick Kane in 2010 scoring an OT winner that only he seemed to realize was in. Confusion, then chaos. Uwe Krupp in 1996 ended the longest cup clincher in triple OT. Goaltenders writing epics. Patrick Waugh's 63 saves in a triple OT shutout that felt impossible. Ken Dryden as a calm rookie in 1971, destroying Chicago's plans. Tim Thomas in 2011 going into Vancouver and slamming the door while half the building booed. Jordan Binnington in 2019, Game 7, shutting down Boston to end 52 years of St. Louis pain. Which one gave you goosebumps the first time you saw it? Be honest, it was Orr. It's always Orr. Let's jump back to the recent roll call. 2021, Tampa finishes the repeat on Montreal. 2022, Colorado returns to the throne and breaks the Lightning's run. 2023, Vegas wins its first in year 6 and throws a parade that looks like a Vegas advert. 2024, Florida finally gets one. 2025, Florida does it again, and Sam Bennett takes the Conn Smythe. These are not footnotes, these are fresh carvings on a living artifact. If you see the cup on TV now, you can point to names that were in diapers when the first names were etched. What makes the cup different from every other sports prize? It moves, it travels, it shows up at barbecues and hospitals and fishing docks and fire halls. It has a passport, it has a chaperone, it has rules, it has rumors, it can get dented and repaired, and somehow that makes it better. When you lift it, you feel the weight of every name on there with you. Imagine hoisting 34.5 pounds and 130 years at the same time. Heavy in the best way. The cup also teaches you the shape of a season. Training camp, the long middle, the chase, 4 rounds, a war of attrition wrapped in skill and luck. In June, someone gets 24 hours that they will remember forever. They take it to a rink where they learn to skate. They hand it to a parent. They drink out of it carefully or not carefully. They take a picture with everyone who believed in them before the world knew their name. That's why it matters. The cup is a trophy you win, but it is also a story you add to. Here's a fun debate for your group chat. Does the cup create dynasties, or do dynasties create the myth of the cup? Montreal's 5-peat, the Islanders' machine, the Oilers' force of nature, Tampa's Cap Era repeat, Florida's back-to-back. The artifact is the same, the names change, the story keeps going. You can argue both sides and you'd still be right. One more thought, the cup keeps receipts. It lists every player, every coach, every trainer, every manager. If you helped, you are in the medal. Sometimes names get misspelled and later corrected. Sometimes they get X'd out if eligibility rules were missed. Even that becomes part of the story. Success is immortal. Process is visible. That feels honest. It also makes every June feel like a family photo you will see again and again. So where does that leave us today? With a trophy that has survived pandemics, lockouts, league mergers, new rules, old grudges, and 3 different physical versions of itself. With a fan base that treats June like a sacred ritual. With kids who still dream not just of scoring, but of lifting. With a silver bowl that taught a sport how to celebrate, how to remember, and how to laugh at itself when someone plants geraniums in it. If you ever stand next to the cup, listen. Rinks have a sound. So does silver. You will hear sharpened skates from 1910. You will hear Orr's breath as he takes off. You will hear a rookie in 1971 coaching his nerves. You will hear a parade horn in 2023. You will hear a locker room in 2025 when Florida figured it out again. It is all in there. Echoes on metal. Your turn. What's the first Stanley Cup memory that lives in your head? Orr flying? Roy staring a shooter down and smiling with his eyes? Kane celebrating before anyone else? Binnington's calm in a storm? Or maybe it's you as a kid staying up too late, waiting for the handshake line, and watching a captain lift 34.5 pounds that somehow looked light. Here's my favorite part. The cup is still being written. Next June, a new set of names will join the roll. A new photo on the ice. A new parade route that a city will memorize. A new dent that the keeper will fix with a shrug and a story. And somewhere a kid will see it on TV, point and say, I want to meet that thing. That is the history. That is the future. That is why this silver bowl is bigger than silver. So yeah, the Stanley Cup isn't a trophy. It is hockey's diary. It is a map. It is a dare. It is a promise. And if you ever get close enough to touch it after you earn it, you'll know exactly why the room goes quiet for 1 second before the noise comes back like a wave.